Hello, viewers. It's finally time to continue. I can't talk tonight. It's time to continue with the great Ace Attorney, the greatest Ace Attorney. Mr. Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke. Naruhodo. I'm start calling him Ryan. Ryan Naru. Anyway, let's get to the game. Okay.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
My mic hasn't been on this entire time. Oh, come on. Yeah, this... Okay, I'm sorry. This happened before. Shoot, and I have like OBS on and I did not even see this. My mic was disabled on the video capture. I don't know why that happened. This happened to me before. And I didn't notice that the mic was disabled. Like, I swear to God, OBS is fucking with me sometimes. It just does this. So, all the dialogue I've been reading out for the past, what, 20 minutes has not been picked up. Awesome. Thanks, OBS. Thank you for screwing around with me again. Like, we didn't even capture my reaction to hearing about McGilda dying. God damn it, OBS. Jesus. Sorry for the language, I'm just... It always annoys me when OBS screws up on me. Like, I didn't change any settings from the last time I streamed. It's just... Sometimes randomly, things don't work the next time I start OBS up. Things don't work. Okay, whatever. Let's move on. As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trail you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. So wait, what exactly did I mute before? I muted something that was just completely irrelevant before, that's what I did. No, I'm just talking about before when I actually went to, like, take a drink. Of course, you wouldn't know that because my mic wasn't on. So, it doesn't matter. Move on, move on. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating. I was stunned. Oh, okay. That's Ryunosuke. Hold on. My mic's picking up background noise for a second. I can see it. Let me just redo my area. The mic should balance itself out. And mute that. Okay, there we go. I know. Normally I would do all that stuff beforehand, but since the microphone wasn't working, it didn't fix itself automatically when I started. So anyway, the circumstances of the circumstances of the case were so incriminating. I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that, you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much, at least, is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I have prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, there's nothing so alarming or quite as urgent as your last assignment. Oh good, it's not murder this time. In fact, this case is completely different. And then we turn out it's actually going to be very similar. Oh, I see. Are we investigating tax evasion? That'll be an interesting case to take on. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? Is he psychic? That is to say, no one has died. As yet. Oh, okay. Do we actually have a case where nobody has died? No, nobody has died? And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. Ah, so the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh yes, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't be so down on yourself, you did quite well yesterday. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's death. Or trial, sorry. Oh yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits for the defendant. Yes, that's right. But no one has died, so we're going to execute them? That doesn't make any sense. Ah, here we go again. Boy, they're just so kill happy in these Ace Attorney games. Like, minor crime, death. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something that you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Starting now. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing... Oh. Another thing. Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important that I have to do. Something very important. And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if it ever made it to Great Britain. You're out of time. Okay. Okay. I tried to spoke as fast as I could. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion in 34 seconds. Mr. Naruhodo, what's all this about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. How long has he been standing there? Was he hiding in the suit of armor? So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell. Zoom. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Because he died. Anyway, we better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Hold on a second, I need to take care of something. Okay, briefest of interruptions there. Hold on. Why is my bit rate going down? Alright, well, I'm still up. Alright, I'm back. Oh, it's just a fish and chips dude. What kind of voice I should give him? Could we trouble you for some fish? What do you think? Ah. Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Ah. Oh, I'm giving him the Irish accent again, I better not. Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some flippery about with the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know. But Suzaru-san told me it was foolproof to talk about the weather. I'm a busy man, a very busy man. Eating my fish and chips. Nom, nom. Fish, cod, and potatoes, all fried in oil. And this is the thing every detective eats in London. Nom, 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 nom. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having the likes to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, I'm never so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying? Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? They're always too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because some bumpkin here who's on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. He's never heard of Japan. Okay. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. I'm gonna be so fat on fish and chips. There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. Yeah. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Sue... Yeah. It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable, how did she pull that off? Because she's a cute girl. So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson. What's the matter with Suzato-san? Does the detective name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps... the Inspector Gregson? No, maybe. You're acting like you know this man, Miss Suzato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well. Yes, he features prominently in The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Ranced magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderfully rich rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all of the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words. That's his highest praise? I don't even know if that's praise. Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. He's kind of bad at them. That he is not. And thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London now. London town now. That's great, isn't it? I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it's not! There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath. Sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh. Do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying. But I know what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs, and fish is fish. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear, perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people. Alright, let's get to the case. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really? As far as we're concerned at the yard, couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish we were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road and she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital, unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack a poor woman from behind? Well, I suppose you would have finished whoever was off with a suicidal takedown, would you? That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. I would have broken their neck. This is no time to joke around with takedowns. Brace yourself, Ryunosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So, there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit. Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question. Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one? Sorry? There is nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor then assigned to a trial tomorrow is Lord Baroque. Oh, Baroque Van Zieks. I thought it was Baron Van Zieks. Is it Baron Van Zieks or Baroque Van Zieks? No. Well, to be fairly honest, I don't think Baroque... Is it Baroque or Baron? Now, see, now, the game's confusing me now. I don't know if... whatever. I don't think Van Zieks was actually that bad of a prosecutor. I thought he was actually did a pretty good job, actually, all things considered. Sounds like you've heard of... sounds like you've heard of him, then. Oh yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zieks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. The Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Baroque Van Zieks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilda told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zieks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. I am a vampire. Am I a vampire? We have yet to decide. And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname, I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty. Is that it? Except for the last one. Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zieks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. Huh. And what of it? Oh, well, I think it should count for something. That means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, huh? He's dead. Ah, yeah, I suppose you do have a point there. Magnus McGilded came a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zieks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. Oh, so he is a vampire. I'd have a good long think about that, if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? As believe in yummy as my fish and chips. My infinite fish and chips. It just keeps coming out of my newspaper cone over and over and over and and over and over again. Infinite fish and chips. All this talk about fish and chips is making me want fish and chips, because I actually do like fish and chips. It's one of my generally favorite easy dishes to make at home. I have some really nice beer batter hot fish fillets that I'll cook up in the oven at home. I usually throw in some vegetables in there, like some broccoli with the fish, and you know, just throw some cheap fries into my air fryer, and it's like, ooh. In 20 minutes I have some really good fish and chips with some veggies and everything. It's just good. It's very good and delicious. I usually have it like once a week. I have like that meal. It's actually quite good and tasty. So I am a lover of fish and chips. I got like a British pub-like restaurant in town that actually has really good fish and chips. The fish they have is like really huge though. It's like really big, but it's like, it's a big piece of cod. Big thick chips, kind of like what Mr. Gregson has in his little tub there. Like, yum 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 yum. I know I'm talking about food. I got sidetracked here. Let's continue on. It's just those fish and chips are distracting me so much. Right. Well, I filled you in as requested, and I'm very nearly out of chips and fish. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place. That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You branded him a criminal already? He's as good as. Shaking like a leaf in his cell, he is. It'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer, no shade of a way. Inmate 53. Thank you. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? What's troubling me is that we're gonna bring, like, paranormal stuff back into the Ace Attorney game. I'm like, why? We were doing so good without paranormal stuff. Like, I'm probably getting off a little bit of a side tangent here. Like, from the original Ace Attorney trilogy games, I wasn't really the biggest fan of all the terrain channeling stuff that was so heavily involved in the Ace Attorney trilogy. Because I felt like it was just... It's not the sort of thing you really want to have in an investigation, to have all this spiritualism and psychic possession stuff happening. I mean, I understand it's kind of there for the plot, for plot convenience at times. But I kind of feel like it was a little heavy-handed, but it made for an interesting story, so I don't really... I don't complain about it too much here. It's also why, like, when Rice in the Ashes in the bonus case in the first game came up, I was actually pretty happy that we didn't have to have any spirit channeling stuff in there. And we actually had some, at least, forensic science with Emma Sky and everything like that, which was a nice change of pace to have, which... Realistically, it would be more logical to have forensic investigation as a lawyer instead of spirit channeling. So, I'm kind of glad that the great Ace Attorney kind of got away from that, and we're focusing more on deduction and reasoning things out instead of relying on spirit possession cop-outs from time to time, like what happened in the original game, but... Maybe now we're gonna have black magic. Or maybe it's just all a rumor. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised and it's just all a made-up rumor, so we'll see. To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in the court again is... fun, actually. It's fun. I'm ready to face Van Zieks again. Well, if you think it's too much... Blah. Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too. No. But the man they arrested is innocent. You could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in the cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. Well, maybe just a little bit. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is, but hey, look at it this way. Maybe we'll get paid if we do this, and we'll actually have some money. And we'll be able to survive in London a little longer. So, let's at least do it that way. You know, we can at least get paid this time. But I like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes! Let's go. Investigation begin. First one, look at the clock. Oh, is it the same text from before? Alright. We're still inside a giant clock. Also, I want to see, do we have, Tobias Gregson, 44, okay. He's a great lover of fish and chips. Alright, I don't think we need to do anything else here. Let's move on, so... why don't we go see who our defendant is? Kind of curious about them. And then we'll investigate. So these are British prison cells. Quite chummy and dank. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon. Because it probably is a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem even worse. Apparently our client is in this cell here. But it's so dark at the back there I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop by in the back of the cell. Show your face at once. Am I a cat as yet with no... What? Calling me by a number it's utterly unbelievable and justly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Are we representing a cat person? Please don't let it be a cat person. I don't need that in this game. I swear to God, if I was a cat person, I'm going to lose my shit. Mr. Naruhodo, what? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea. But I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Ooh, something Japanese. Oh. Excuse... Shh, quiet! They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you... There you are! You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try and hide it. You're a ghost. Ghost? This dude's gonna be fun, I can tell. We mean you no harm, prisoner-san. Are you prisoner-san? It's a good name. We'll call him prisoner-san. You're Japanese by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams. Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! I've been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Who could have guessed that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese, a fellow insane Japanese person? Ah, what compassion my fellow countrymen show. To dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never falling, Nippon. A first-class lawyer. Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I will. Stay sullen and silent. Do you have to do the posing? I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy and quite energetic. Yes, he does. I just hope that he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. And I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. I am a visiting student, sent here by our government. Notably notoriously named Natsume. Sosake Natsume. Sosake Natsume. Okay. Sosake. Hey, Sosake, what you think of my armband? Yes! The symbol of one of our great empire's first-rate lawyers. Which means, of course, you'll stand by my side, you'll defend me. Oh, no, sorry, that wasn't why I was showing it to you. I just wanted to... Oh, I was just showing it off. Then why else would you show me that? Whoops, in hindsight, that probably wasn't the best idea. Just wanted to see his reaction, that's all. Sosake Natsume-san. What an unusual name. Call me Sosake, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume. You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No! Don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku, that really reminds me of home. Yes, haikus. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student, sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer that misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale. Suffer that misery. Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something, does it mean you can do it? No. What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, well, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievable, unjustly, unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I turned a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white washi. You must be a man of great standing. Oh yes, so I'm often told. And often likes to be told, it seems. Interesting fellow. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki? Soseki. Soseki-san. I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder. Who said anything about murder? Murder? Why are you talking about murder? You said murder. No, I said murder. You said murder? Murder? Who said murder? Nobody's been murdered. Murder? You said murder. He said murder. Now I'm saying murder. Oh, no, it's alright. The woman didn't actually... Oh, no, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated already. Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? Why couldn't it just been somebody else? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Everything is cursed in this town. Sure, the bookshop wasn't accursed too, was it? As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was. And just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet, which were accursed as well. How terrible. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran, as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. My accursed legs would carry me across the accursed streets, through London away from the accursed murder, where the woman was stabbed with the accursed knife, so that I could get away from my accursed fate. Ouch. Hang on. Everything is accursed about this man. His whole life is a curse. That's just how it is. This dude. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. And tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know of any of these fair-haired English? And a young woman at that. I'm different, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Sosuke-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anyone pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one. Oh, great. So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? That he was the only person present when she got stabbed? What do you mean, Suzaru-san? What's the conundrum? Because I'm too dense to figure it out on my own. Well, if what Sosuke-san had just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did. But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. Ah, you! What did you just say? Did he just read my mind? What did he... Nothing, I didn't say anything. Whoops, perhaps I thought that a little too loudly. My thoughts are too loud. I have to turn the volume down on my thoughts. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Sosuke-san actually come to be arrested? Oh, yeah, that's probably a good point, too. Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh, yes, she's right. As she usually is. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck. Cursed great detective. Could it be? Of course it probably is. I should never forget the man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Rash, big-headed, busybody, begone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Hairlock Sholmes. How many innocent people have gotten arrested because of Hairlock Sholmes making incorrect deductions about people? I mean, really, I kind of wonder about that now. Oh, there's probably a lot of people. I'm just shaking my head here. I knew it. Mr. Sholmes. Hairlock Sholmes. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me. This is the police. Put the weapon down. Yes, there was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination devils. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Hairlock Sholmes. It's actually just Hairlock Sholmes. He's English. I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really very well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak, stooped kitten of a man. I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholm's deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. You don't say, Suzada. You don't say! Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish, foreign, flimflammery. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes I do, and I'm fine. That's all he said to them, yes I do. I'm fine. Did you kill this woman? I'm fine. Are you the owner of this knife? Yes, I do. What were you doing with that hard cheese over there? I'm fine. I can see how that line of questioning would probably not go too well with the police. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles. And before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising considering what happened. I'm fine. He's not fine now. Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. And when we're speaking English, a simple Mr. is more than enough. Oh, yes, alright. Yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. It'll happen to you too, eventually, Naruhodo. It'll happen to you too, in time, the longer you stay here. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student. I have defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though, and the person I got off, he was apparently murdered afterwards, somehow. With magic. So I could take your case up, and it's the same, the prosecutor from yesterday, who people say used black magic to kill my defendant yesterday. my client, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, sure, I will go ahead and defend you in court. It'll be fine. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. Don't be so deep and dramatic. We just need to take our case and get some money. Okay? I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm not even supposed to be here today! I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband, that's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. And now he lives inside this sword here, beside me. We're not going to question that. It would be too difficult to explain that to anybody in England. A keepsake? Why are you so sentimental, Naruhodo? I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh? Who do you mean? Well, lawyers. All the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness. Why would you say that? For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened. There was only the victim and myself around. And I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Sosuke-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say, the man doesn't understand half of what he's being said anyway. That's awful. And also quite racist and xenophobic, too, at the same time. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Sosuke-san, it's just that. Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it'll give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire. I'm sorry, I got cramp my leg. We should be going then, Mr. Naruto-san. We have a case to prepare for. I want to look at my armband again? No. Alright, so it's okay, Natsume. So then he accused him of attempted murder. Okay. Alright, let's go to Briar Road. It's a snowman. So this is where it happened. Briar Road. Ah, look, Mr. Naruto. It's a policeman. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. Like I've seen those probably at least 5 times already since I've been here. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But Mr. Naruto, to see one with my own eyes, for the 5th time since we've been here. They're often depicted in the adventures of Haylock Sholmes, but I never dreamt I'd come this close to seeing one for the 5th time already. To a real Bobby's helmet for the 5th time. Like I've been saying, we've seen them before already. What? The helmet? Of course. I have to try one on one day. It'll be really funny. Well, I hope your hatty dream comes true. Your dream about hats. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gretson. This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cells then? What'd you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. Learn the difference. We'll see about that. The Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Stone cold error rejection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone cold air, which I don't really like, or whatever. That makes it worse somehow. Yes. You want to see my armband? Inspector Gregson, could I show you this? What do you think of it? Am I supposed to know what that is? I've never seen that insignia before. It's worn by defense lawyers in the Empire of Japan. It's a symbol of their profession. In other words, it's a worthless trinket here in Great Britain. Oh no, it's very important to me. It shows my spirit. Because I have spirit. An English gentleman keeps things like a spirit very much to himself, I'll have you know. Oh. Don't give up, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too late. He's crushed my spirit already. I'm dead inside. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Is it really a yard full of Scottish people? Ever since I read about it in the adventure of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know, I've always dreamt of wearing the real Bobby's helmet. You wouldn't happen to have an extra one on hand, would you? It does make him look the part, seeing that policeman wear it there with his helmet on. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? I like a man in uniform. In Western uniforms, I mean. Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up. Yup. Wraps in their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit. I had no idea they acted as alarm clocks. The Bobby works for the people of the town. Just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. All day long, eating fish and chips all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. And I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law. They have very strong legs because they do a lot of walking every day. Even that was very, very sore. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly, more alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit. I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But I don't want to do all that work. That's too much work for a lady. I just want to wear the helmet. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. You will have to wear it and do all those things. Well, I get to wear the hat. And you, Mr. Naruhodo, get to do all of those things. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Water. It happened around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago, just there and opened a pavement. I should be taking notes. I really haven't been taking notes yet. Alright, so... Let's click incidents. Around 5 p.m. I also want to click defendant. Didn't see... Didn't see the moment of stabbing, let's put it that way. Didn't see the moment of stabbing and ran away. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Stabbed in the back. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in a hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means I haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's your policy to give lawyers, defendants, suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Street map of local area showing the victims found. Okay. Anyway, as far as we know, there is no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who did it, do you think? Not much of a head-scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present. I mean, she could have been stabbed through magic. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less. Ah. Witnesses we can cross-examine, yeah. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There are witnesses now. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. Unlike that McGilded fellow, who's dead now. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Oh, we have a cop as a witness. Okay, cool. Ah. A policeman. That might change things. And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked. Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby. Catching them banging the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh, yeah, okay. I have no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness, and you can talk to him as much as you want then. So that'll give you something to look forward to. And that's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me on that too. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The color is drained from his cheeks. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was a result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle faddle. Ah. The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Oh man, my food, my infinite fish and chips. Crushed. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Isn't he? Isn't he? Gibble gabble. Ah. Never seen this before. Oh yes, that's Rance Magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Holmes appear. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories, without permission or authorization. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. We should probably sue them for slander. Slandering our detectives in their own publication. Now, if they just use made-up names and aliases, they could probably get away with it, but since they're using our actual names in the stories and making us look like fools, we have grounds to sue them for slander. Actually, I'm trying to remember. Slander... No, it would be libel. Libel is for written, or slander, I think, is for spoken stuff. Yeah, so libel would be for written. So yeah, they could make a case. They could probably sue the publication for libel because they're using real people in their stories and basically defaming them, kind of, and making them seem like fools. So yeah. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any Sherlock Holmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be trumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? The man is a threat to society. I think we have shown that before. Clearly the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case of a barge pull. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey... you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum. The master criminals. The violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right. He handpicks his victims. Only deals with those guaranteed to go on to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsumi wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to... I can talk tonight. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, if it's not entirely a minor infraction... Well, it's not entirely a minor infraction, is it? To be stabbed? No. No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? The man's a vampire. I don't know what's going on in his head. He sleeps in a coffin by day and he comes out at night. To prowl around for the scum of London. How am I supposed to know what he thinks? You have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Are we really going to have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he puts it. Ooh. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. So let's investigate the scene. The policeman and the carriage are gone now. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? You may want to investigate the scene before you talk your ass off to the detective, because it seems like the bobbies and the carriage have kind of fucked off now. Oh, yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Because I really don't want to talk to him. Do I have to talk to him? Yes, Mr. Haylock Sholmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? You're so excited, aren't you, Suzato? Well, Mr. Natsumi did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again. Trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address either. It's Baker Street. Don't chop me. Don't judo chop me. How do you know that? I read it in a book. It's in the stories, of course. 221 Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find a way there before Suzawa-san gets any more excited and unpredictable and throws me to the ground. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage with the power of my judo powers. Jujutsu, power, go, summon carriage. So we're to have a reunion already with the great detective, Mr. Haylock Sholmes. Alright, now we should probably examine. Okay, oh, they're back. Alright. Snowman! Hee, what a delightful snowman! I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. It looks a little creepy, though. Oh, it has a scarf, look. You'll need one if you were out in this freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment, too. We certainly can't afford a scarf. Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss his if we just took it. Oh no! There's a knife inside the snowman! The snowman actually stabbed the victim. You know, just watch. I'm sure the snowman will come up in the trial. And we'll probably do something stupid like, the snowman stabbed the victim. But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know, you're right. Anyway. Even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow already, because it's been snowing on us the entire time we've been standing here, apparently. The mint bicycle. Also, this building's frame is kind of sticking out right here, like it's about to collapse here. Let me see if anything else kind of stands out here. Look at the carriage here. Oh, that's a Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like that to rush to crime scenes and herd away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? It's long been a dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London. Well, there's an easy way to do that. Just commit a crime and they'll throw you in one and you'll get a free ride. Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then. You'll get a free ride. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it. Wouldn't it? Still, If it's the only way, come help me find a good stone. Let's commit a crime right now. So eager. No, no, no. I wasn't serious about that. We have a job to do. We can't be committing petty crimes right now. That's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling if we wander too close, we'll be clapped in irons and get a free ride in the carriage. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern. Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. I'm not getting arrested again. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Not going for a third time here. Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. It does you no favors at all. This patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred. Yes. It's a very wide open space, isn't it? That's true. I can't see anywhere where an attacker could have been hiding. Oi, what are you foreigners doing here? Oh, we're just investigating the scene of conspiring with that mustache fella from Japan, aren't you? Conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, have you? Get out of here before I give you a nodding. Go! Go on! He shoot us away like rats. Yes, we should give him a wide berth, I think. What a disappointing experience. All I wanted was his hat. I'm telling you, the snowman did it. The snowman stabbed the lady. Somehow we're going to prove that the snowman stabbed that lady. The clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? And with the dense fog as well, everything looks hazy. Or it could be smog. Well, it's known as foggy London town. I can just make out some sort of spire through the fog. Looks like it's still being built, though. Aha, yes. That must be the Crystal Tower being built for the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. Apparently it's going to be very striking. Blaze on all sides and the symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition. It's to be the largest exposition in history, is it? I can't even begin to imagine it. Actually, you know what? I'm wondering. The Crystal Tower. Is that an actual thing? Let me look that up real quick. Because that would actually give me an actual time of when this occurs. Crystal Tower. I mean, there was a Crystal Palace. That was part of an exhibition. Yeah, Crystal Palace, that's 1851. That's like way too early for this. I mean, it is in the Ace Attorney wiki, but I can't find an actual reference to it in reality. The Crystal Tower. Built for London's World Fair. Crystal Tower is similar to the Crystal Palace, but the Crystal Palace was built in the 1850s, though, so that's not the time when this game takes place. So again, I don't know. So what's this? Oh, look at the windows of that building there. Are you sure they're windows? They look like bricks to me. Yes, but they're filled in with bricks. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment. There's smoke coming from the chimney, though. Oh dear, everything still feels very foreign. There's so much we have to learn about this place. It's a smoker home where they cover the windows up and seal them up with bricks and everything, and then they just set a fire inside, and then it's like a giant oven. It's an oven house. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history. Actually, no, it doesn't. It's just a very boring building. Nothing interesting has ever happened here. In the history of all of London, nothing interesting has ever happened here. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging over. In fact, it looks in decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here. We must find some cheap lodging ourselves as soon as possible. Don't forget about that, Naruhodo-san. We need to find lodgings because we don't have any money for tonight, so maybe we'll get an advance payment on our case? Yes, you're right. Cheap, but ideally with reasonable level floors. Oh, a British bicycle, look! Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. A bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that when you can just ride a horse. I mean, come on. Bicycles, what a silly idea. That'll never catch on. It'll never amount to anything in the history of all of mankind. Not as much as being a lawyer. So says Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles that much, Mr. Naruhodo? Are you a bicycle hater? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. Like I wouldn't want to do that. Like go on a boat, which takes my feet off the ground, because I'm on a boat in the water, not on the ground anymore. If you ever try walking on stilts and fall into a river, I know you'd agree with me. Mankind does not belong in the sky. We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. It'll be fun. Alright. I guess that's about all we can do here. Let's just move on. Sholmes Suite. Alright. Let's go talk to Mr. Sholmes. And we get a cutscene. I want to point out there's no longer any snow.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Sholmes' Suite. It's a sweet place. It is so sweet. So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. Oh yes, this place is a mess. Is it as described in the stories, Miss Susato? Suzato-san?
Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room.
Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be.
The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest?
Can't you?
Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Can't you?
Oh, I suppose I can, yes.
So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Yes, it smells of musty books and chemicals. Yes. Please don't mind me.
She's obsessed. Well, it looks like our detective friend isn't home at the present. Excuse me, is anybody home? No? Okay, we'll be leaving. Oh, do we have a visitor? Oh.
Hello. Is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes?
Hello. Wait. Aren't you...
Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once.
Chup, 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 chup. I'm sure it's the same girl.
Miss Suzato, did you see the girl who was just here? Oh, yes. Isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
The King of Bowaria?
King Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigurdsson von Olmstein, of course.
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there. Will you please?
The tea's brewed, and have a freshly baked cake as well. Ah, it's you.
I knew it. Suzato-san recognizes her too.
Ah, there you are. And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to a trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
That gun that was used in court a few times. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilded's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you only just arrived in London.
Oh, yes, it was challenging.
Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know.
Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? I thought tea is supposed to look green. Why does it look all brown and dirty? I don't get it. Is this what they drink for tea in the West? Ew.
Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner. I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here. And you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you?
Hurley. Mr. Sholmes, to you, surely.
Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today. even though he just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after a trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think? Are we asking Susato? Oh.
And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? Oh, silly me. I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley.
Ah, Iris, is it? What a lovely name.
What?
What's the matter?
No, wait, this can't be. Did you say what your name is Wilson?
Well, what's the matter with Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden?
Yes, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan.
Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely! Susie and Bruno, got it.
Bruno, okay.
Susie?
And Bruno? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start.
Yes, and so do I.
Actually, as I always do, let's begin by presenting my armband. What do you think of this armband? Iris, could I show you this sweet armband?
Oh, how exciting! What is it? Tell me about it.
Oh, actually, I was hoping you might be able to tell me something about it if anything comes to mind.
Why would it? It's just an armband.
Well, no, I suppose it wouldn't.
Tell me, I want to hear everything.
This hasn't gone according to plan. Actually, I probably should look at this. Okay. The map doesn't really tell me too much at the moment. Let's examine first. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country, in fact. It's nice and warm. Lingering beside the fire and watching the flames flicker and dance in the grate. Ah, it's so relaxing.
We can't relax, not when there are so many interesting things on the mantelpiece. Why are you looking at the fire, Ryunosuke? That's the most boring thing in the room. So, it's just as it was described in the stories.
Is it?
Yes, exactly. Inside that Persian slipper, for example. Are my chocolates for elevensies. And transfixed by that large jackknife. Is my shopping list for the market. Oh, it's not quite how I remember it being described in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Poor Susato-san, she looks absolutely crushed.
A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection.
This is the first time in my life that I've seen a lonely old shoe displayed as an ornament.
Oh, those are all mementos that Hurley has collected from his past cases.
Really? Even the bust?
Yes, that's right. When the mood takes him, he likes to throw it on the floor and smash it to dust.
how many times has he done this? The poor defenseless emperor? Mr. Sholmes destroys it?
Yes, and then he buys a new one.
You make it sound like he has the temperament of an insane sculptor.
Ah, how entrancingly bohemian of him.
Just keep destroying stuff. Looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. Seems very sturdy with an equally sturdy stock.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous.
How did you come to that conclusion? I'm just investigating.
Oh, that chest. Contains some of my most valuable things.
And that smile tells me you're not going to give us any clue about what they are. There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple at any moment.
I keep telling Hurley not to cram so much on those shelves.
Good advice.
He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago. But it was so tightly wedged in he couldn't get it out, so he went and brought a new copy instead.
Yeah, that would be something he would do. Ah, I've seen pictures of Western musical instruments, but instruments like this. It's called a violin, isn't it?
Of course it is. Mr. Sholmes is renowned for his violin playing.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. It's often explained in the stories. It's inspirational, Mr. Naruhodo. Inspirational. I immediately started playing the koto, which was the closest Japanese stringed instrument I could find.
What a shame you couldn't bring it with you to London. What a shame. What a shame.
Oh yes, well... Papa was beaming when I asked him if he would buy me one. But after a while, he asked if I would only practice when he was out of the house. So now it's merely an ornament in my room.
That must have been an awkward conversation. Second-rate strings, I got an achievement. Alright, what is this thing? What on earth is this huge over-the-top machine?
That's the great analytoscope. It can analyze anything. Really, anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. It's one of Hurley's inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was to help him with his investigations. What sort of things has he analyzed with it? Do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet. Oh.
Well, why not?
Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him, I don't actually have anything I need to analyze.
Oh dear.
How about you, Runo? Do you have anything you'd like to analyze?
The only thing that springs to mind is this machine itself. I shall analyze the machine with the machine. There is so much stuff in here. What a beautiful English tea set, and so neatly arranged.
It's a favorite pastime of mine. A cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. Tea? Made of herbs? What blasphemy. That's right. I grow all sorts of herbs in the garden, so I can experiment with different blends. One moment. Don't go away. I'll brew upon a special blend I came up with earlier today.
She looks delighted. I only hope it's safe to drink. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles too. It's so charming.
Oh yes, but don't touch any of those. They might explode.
explode? You put them on a high shelf and they might explode?
Are they exotic chemicals? Do you use them for exciting experiments? Yes, indeed. And as Hurley always says, chemistry is an explosive science.
It doesn't have to be explosive, you know, but... Sorry.
I agree. A single discovery can trigger an explosion of innovation all around the world.
Or perhaps he just meant it literally, that it explodes. Either way, mental note, do not touch any bottle that belongs to Iris. Or Mr. Sholmes, even. What on earth is that big black lump over there?
Ah, that fascinating thing is called a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And wizardly quick, too.
Ooh, that sounds like it could be very useful for someone like me with terrible handwriting. Maybe I could get a typewriter for Mr. Naruhodo. Be nice. Alright, so I think that's everything in here I've examined. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey.
Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh, no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming.
Though, at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us.
Like this? Bang! No.
Don't shoot.
Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you?
Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade.
Oh, Guinea? Yes, she's a professional pickpocket.
So we found out.
It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that.
Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption?
Exactly. So I followed her, you see, and So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions.
This girl is dangerous.
Anyway, I brought Guinea back here after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician.
Sorry, your technician?
Hurley, of course. Silly.
Hurley. Hurley. Oof.
Yes. Hairlock. Hairlock Sholmes. We live here together.
I had no idea the great detective had such a interesting young daughter.
Daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my daughter. Would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you've found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate.
Your roommates. Hey Susanna, we can be roommates. And share the cost.
I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year.
She's a frickin' 10-year-old. Really? And you're roommating with a 30-year-old man. Oh, I'm sure there's no problems there at all. No problems at all with that. Well, what of your mother and father?
Oh no, they're not around. I killed them with my experiments when I was 5 years old.
Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there.
Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I am a very great fan of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Rance magazine. Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night he was telling me about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author. Yes, I'll let you in on the secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure The Speckled Bands. The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Oh, that was Mr. Shone's first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... it's a story! Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So, do you mean to say... are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that were published in Rance magazine all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Mr. John H. Wilson. So that sounds getting more and more worked up. Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old? Come on, you're pulling my leg. At 10 years old. Well, that's quite incredible. But Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the settings slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, that sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow? That would be very strange, yes, as it is right now. Very strange. I suppose it does, yes. Poor Suzaru-san. She looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. About before. Yes? What's on your mind, Runo? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although, there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular. Whoa. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed the passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh. So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey. I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with a suspect, weren't you, earlier today? Ah. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been... Mr. Natsume. Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Irish Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. So already, her deduction abilities are like miles above Sherlock Holmes, because she was kind of right on every account and made reasonable deductions on everything. Okay, why don't we have her with us to do the logical deduction parts and save herself some time? Instead of having Sherlock Holmes make his flimsy-flamsy deductions. And maybe not get innocent people arrested. It's just an idea. Just an idea. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. You even managed to manage the certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris, please? So, yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man. You were saying? Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt. Sosuke-san said they didn't see anybody else on the street at all, but it seems there were witnesses after all. Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room, very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear. Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did. He's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for a trial, isn't it? Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Curly says that London is rife with crime. Oh. Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. We have to rush through everything, like, you know, because we don't have time to do this properly, so... because that's the Ace Attorney way. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. Somebody should do something about that and change that. I'm sure somebody in a few years will figure this out and change that system. Surely. Someday, in 10, 20 years, they'll fix this system. Right? Right?
Right. Welcome to you, Phoenix Wright.
I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is. But in that case, I don't have out much hope for Soseki-san. Soseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Ah, well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, Mr. Nuts. Ume. Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crimes themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Ah, goody. In that case... Give Gregsy this from me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. Iris's postcard, okay. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good luck, then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Bands. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all, we headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note, and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. Is that... Oh, good. Okay, good. I was about to, stop here anyway. Excellent. Alright. Alrighty. So not a whole lot of concrete information we have so far. See, the murder happened at around 5 p.m. Defendant didn't see the moment of the stabbing and ran away. Victim was stabbed in the back. Apparently there are 2 witnesses. One is a cop.
which is going to make things difficult. And Sherlock Sholmes deduced. Well, I don't really know whether he deduces him being a suspect, more like deduced his address, I guess. Deduced his address. And yeah, that's kind of about all we really have to go on right now. So maybe next time we'll get some more information here to go on. So anyway, yeah, that's going to be it for tonight. Case 4 is underway, and the victim is not dead this time. That is a new thing for Ace Attorney. Ace Attorney, we don't have a murder case this time. We just have an attempted homicide case, which is kind of similar, but maybe not quite as bad, I guess. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching, and I will definitely try to double check and make sure next time my mic is on when I switch scenes here. Because I think pretty sure it was on when I started my stream, and then it kind of, for some reason, got disabled when I switched over to my live stream. So I don't know. I don't know why that happens sometimes. Anyway, whatever. I'm gonna go now. Have a good night, and I will continue this later in the week. Maybe tomorrow, or maybe what is tomorrow? Wednesday. Yeah, today's Tuesday. Thursday, maybe. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to finish this case this week. Because I think it's supposed to be a bit of a longer case anyway. So this is investigation and trial. So it's going to take a little longer here to get through this here. So anyway, that's enough talk. Signing off. Bye-bye.